your kind of style.
I'm Guy Gordon.
And I'm Joanne Purton. We are now just about 15 minutes away from the blast that is going to bring down one of the most enduring landmarks in the city of Detroit.
It's a store that meant so much to all of us. But the great thing is that the memories will never be lost. They will always be with us forever. But we do need a new, dynamic downtown to match our vibrant, outstanding neighborhoods.
I can remember being dropped off in the toy department to spend some hours while Mama did some shopping here.
Just the decorations and how beautiful the building was, and the escalators were really great when I was a kid, so that was the big adventure.
Saying goodbye to a great deal of history, but also, as you mentioned there, looking forward to the future, looking forward to what that ground there, that area there can hold.
Standing on the corner of Woodward and Gratiot Avenues in downtown Detroit, the J.L. Hudson's building was once as synonymous in describing Detroit as the automobiles that served as the Motor City's chief export in the bustling metropolis.
Standing at 410 feet in height and encompassing more than 2.1 million square feet, the building stood as a symbol of glamour for 3 generations of Detroiters prior to its closure in 1983 and subsequent demolition in 1998.
Fast forward to present day, where a new development is rising on the historic site as Detroit continues its evolution. The first skyscraper constructed in downtown Detroit in 30 years, the mixed-use development will consist of dining and shopping, office space, event space, and a 5-star hotel.
To talk more about what it's like building the future of Detroit on such an iconic site and some of the unique challenges that come with building in the heart of a busy downtown, we're pleased to be joined in studio by 2 of the superintendents on site, Zach Pung and Chad Beldega.
Utilizing goats to clear vegetation on a steep hillside to save on manpower and ensure safety. We've done that. Watching a world-renowned architect crumble up a piece of paper and tell you that's how they want their building to be designed? We've been there, too. Ever envision a bricklaying robot or material lift unit assisting laborers with building? No, it's not something out of the Terminator. We've done that on our projects. Every project has a great story. With over 3,000 team members and nearly 100 years of experience in the construction industry, we at Barton Malow have more than a few to tell that don't fit the usual industry coverage. I'm Eric Fish.
And I'm Rob Riley.
And we're both Barton Malow team members and the hosts of this podcast. And we're going to be bringing you the untold stories from the job site. The weird, the wild, and the unconventional paths to success. It's construction, but it's said differently.
If we could start out by just having you both introduce yourself, maybe just give your name, role, and how long you've been with Barton Malow.
I am Chad Beldega, General Superintendent. I've been with Barton Malow just shy of 18 years now.
Awesome.
Zach Pung, Superintendent, working with Chad, just over 6 years with Barton Malow.
Cool. And so before we get into some of the Hudson stuff, can you talk a little bit about other projects you've worked on or maybe some of your background maybe prior to joining the Hudson's project?
Yeah, for me, started off as a laborer or, hey, go do whatever it is I'm telling you to do type of person, and then moved into a carpentry role and end up got some really good opportunities along the way and took advantage of it and was surrounded by some really good people to get me where I am today.
Awesome. Zach?
Yeah, grew up around residential construction with my family, and then went to Michigan State, got a degree, worked with the university on their construction team while I was there, and then when I started with Barton Malow, went to DMC Children's Hospital first, and then went to Shinola Hotel downtown, and have pretty much stayed on that block with a couple other small projects, and then the Hudson site where Chad and I have been the last 3 years.
We understand that you guys are a bit of Hudson's historians here. Do you have any knowledge you can just wow us with about the site or the old building?
Oh, geez. I mean, how much time do we have?
Yeah.
The Hudson site itself does have a significant story behind it. Zach and I all of us are too young to really know. It was closed, I believe, in the mid 80s. It was the headquarters for Hudson's department store, which I believe was acquired by Marshall Fields, which got acquired by Macy's, et cetera. It was the tallest department store in the country. And then I believe it was around 420 feet tall to the very top. There's 33 floors. It was huge, just shy of 2.2 million square feet. It literally took up the entire city block. Coincidentally enough, I mean, the development that we're putting in right now is a very large development. We've got 2 buildings equaling around 1.5 million square feet, give or take. So this, I mean, is large of a development as we're doing right now. It is considerably smaller than what was there originally. It was, if I'm not mistaken, to this day is still the world's largest building to ever be imploded. Back in October of 1998, it was imploded. After a couple of years following that, with cleanup, they put in an underground parking garage. A 4-story underground parking garage with the intent of building 2 buildings on top of it. So the foundations, there's a big 5-foot thick mat foundation that we got to play with for approximately 19 months when we showed up on site. But unfortunately, due to the downturn of the economy in Detroit going through what was happening, that those buildings never came to fruition.
So, hearing a little bit about it from different people that went to the store, you realize it was a massive building. It actually had 51 passenger elevators. It had 17 freight, 8 employee elevators, and 48 escalators. So I read that, at its time, that amount of elevators and transportation was just like next level. It was a next level building. So it had 200 department stores spread throughout 17 floors of retail space, which, I mean, that's bigger than most malls, right? So
yeah,
plus everything else that it had. So definitely really cool to be working on the site and, taking what was a super special building for Detroit, that used to be, and working on a project that it will be, special to come. So
a lot of maybe some of the, older gentlemen and women that are working on the site with you probably do remember that, or maybe even visited it as children, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. So they probably have some memories too, coming on site to, construct this new build, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people that I hear that can remember it. I mean, there's stories, all over the place on being there as a kid. The story is always was, going there to see Santa at Christmas time, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Also the big American flag. They at Flag Day every year up until I think in the mid 70s, they put the world's largest American flag up, which unfortunately I read recently did get properly destroyed by the Smithsonian. But in fact, the demolition contractor that demoed the 4-story underground parking garage for us here a few years back was the original demolition contractor for the original building. So there's people that were on our crew that worked on that crew as apprentices or whatever. So there's a ton of cool stories that come along with this.
I mean, it doesn't sound like the novelty is worn off of working on a site like this.
No, it hasn't. No, I mean, again, it's the heart of downtown. I don't care whether you go to downtown Chicago, downtown New York. When you're at downtown, there is just a different feel about it. It doesn't matter what city you're in, but when you're in a downtown setting, and we are in the heart of it, you don't get any closer. I mean, every road literally leads to our site: Grand River, Gratiot, Woodward. It's all going right to our gates of our site, and we're right in the heart.
So can we then transition now to maybe some of the challenges of building in that, heart of downtown Detroit, like you said, right, as you guys intersect into Campus Martius there. So can you talk a little bit about what some of the key challenges of like getting material and equipment into a site like this are?
Just building in a busy city has challenges. We have so much truck traffic that has to get in and out of the site every day. So that's always first in, our topics of conversation is getting deliveries in, getting material out. We're using a pretty cool software that actually was intended to be used by hairstylists booking appointments. So it's kind of funny.
What's that called?
It's called Reservio. We're actually probably going to use it going forward, but we just stumbled upon it and we laugh about it now, but it's working great. And foremen are available to book times for, deliveries. And if that time is taken up, then it doesn't even show up. Just like if a hair stylist appointment, if she was already busy or he was already busy, then you won't be able to book your hair appointment for that time.
That's cool though. I mean, that's interesting. Is there someone seriously though that like found that app and was like, hey, this could work for this?
So we knew we were going to have a problem with deliveries, right? Because there's 2 separate buildings going on, 2 separate contracts, 4 gates. And I mean, yes, it's a tight site, but if we were to look at other, downtown settings, again, Chicago, New York, Boston, you name it, we have quite a luxurious site. There is a decent amount of room there, but Dominic Lombardo, at the time, he was a brand new hire for us, very sharp. And, I asked him, hey man, we need to figure out, there's gotta be something in this world that we can schedule deliveries. And it goes even beyond deliveries. It's tower crane time. At the time we had 2 tower cranes. Now we're down to 1. Zach's building is topped out and nearly enclosed. Our buck hoists, we have 6 different buck hoists, each gate, concrete pump. ramp down into the base. So we still have 2 levels below grade, just to make sure that you don't have 2 people going in the same time. You're in the same spot at the same time. And he did some research and after, I don't know, probably a week or so, he came up with this Stylist, scheduling software, and it's very customizable. I mean, every time you click Tower Crane 1, it pops up a different color. So every morning it's on our phones, iPads, or whatever. You can click on it and it just, boom, pops right up. And we can go out weeks in advance. You mentioned the Thanksgiving Day parade. With that, we had to facilitate, WDIV, Channel 4 WDIV's production trailer in the site. So we can just say, hey, gate 1 is blocked for, Tuesday, 11/22 until, 6 p.m. Thanksgiving Day. And it's just, everybody can see it and there's no surprises. So it really has been working out well. You still have the challenge of, over the road truckers, coming, we got air handlers coming from Mexico. We got, all of our unitized systems for Zach's building is coming from China. So there's still variables, between shipping and trains and over the road drivers and stuff like that. But all things considered, it's been managed very well. But like anything else, it does need to be managed.
So we just talked about, challenges of getting all this material, and you mentioned a ton of different trucks and deliveries and things like that. But for maybe people that don't know the scale or maybe the scope of this project, could one of you outline that as far as what that site entails? What are we building there?
Yeah, it's kind of broken down into 3 different structures. So, below grade, it's, the hole itself is 420 feet long, 230 feet wide by 39 foot 6 3/4 inch deep, I believe it is. So you can fact check me on that one if you want. Below grade, it's base. There's parking, a lot of back of house spaces, all of the main points of entry for sanitary, storm, steam, you name it. All the utilities come in down on the base. And just, there's some locker rooms and such for, some of the building engineers, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And then, so that gets you up to grade. So, and we were in a hole for a long time. I mean, we didn't come out for, I think it was 2.5 years probably by the time we drilled the caissons and built all this. It is a robust structure underground.
Demoed the parking garage that was there.
Yep. Yeah. And now you drive by, it just looks like 2 buildings coming out. So we have 2 other buildings. It's called the Block and the Tower. The Block building is a 12-story mixed use facility. The whole thing is mixed use. So it's a little bit of everything, you name it: retail, office, hotel, residential. And so Zach's building is a 12-story building, 600,000 square feet, give or take. And then the tower building is going up, over 600 feet. And then it is housed with, there's some amenity space and hotel and residential units. But yes, it is a big development. Again, total of a little over 1.5 million square feet, I believe, once you include all the base. But it's as big as they come, especially here in Detroit right now. It is, at least to my knowledge, by size, is certainly the biggest development in quite some time. And in the first high rise that's gone up in the city in 3 decades.
So, you talked about some of the logistics with material delivery and things of that nature, but you're closing roads to do connections and to make way for deliveries. You got the people mover right there, the queue line. I mean, you talk about some of those challenges as well. Yeah.
I guess we'll start on the 2 trains. We got the people mover on the east side of the site, and then we have the M1 rail on the west side of the site. Quite frankly, the M1 rail on the Woodward side, it doesn't really affect us much. I mean, we had to go through some permitting, of course, and that type of thing. And those folks were very good to work with and continue to be. People mover, on the other hand, not that they weren't good to work with by any means, but it was a much more difficult process to go through the permitting because the train is literally in our site. So when you walk in the fence, the first thing you see is there is a overhead rail above your head. That rail is within 12 feet of the block building, the one that Zach's working on. So you can imagine some of the nerves that went along with that from flying steel, formwork, our unitized curtain wall system gets flown from the floors. So, that was quite a process to get through, especially when we were doing underground and caisson work, because we were, the piers for this thing, I believe at this point were 12 feet away from the hole. So you had the piers that support this train and then a 40-foot hole right next to it. So went through a lot of processing, a lot of testing, until we got up through grade level. There was vibration monitoring, there was tilt monitors, you name it. There was just all kinds of monitoring on this thing just to make sure that it hasn't gone off without a hitch. And knock on wood, we haven't had a single issue with it. I'll say about the only benefit of COVID, other than my commute to and from the city, has been that train was shut down for well over a year. So it was, and again, not that our processes would have changed, because they didn't, but it was just in the back of your mind that, hey, that thing's not going to be flying by every 4.5 minutes, because that's how often that train goes by, and certainly helpful for us. And we did, through, again, proper permitting processes, when we were doing some concrete places, we would actually kind of stick the concrete boom over top of the track, which we could do when the train wasn't running. So it worked out really well.
One thing that was different than the job across the road, which was Shinola, is we've kept our 4 main gates and we haven't changed them. And we've just kept that consistency of kind of the rules that we play by down there and what we have to stay within. And I think it helps everybody stay on the same page. That helps all the trades learn how they have to organize their materials, their logistics, etc.
You asked about road closures for utilities and such. That was a challenge. Closing the roads wasn't so bad. We have to go again through a proper right-of-way permitting process, which you'd go sit in front of the traffic review committee and explain what you're doing, why you're doing it, how long it's going to take, et cetera, et cetera. And then you can imagine, with the city being well over 100 years old, there is a lot of utilities underground that we didn't know were there, or if they were there, they weren't where they thought they were going to be. Back in 2005, I think it was, when the Super Bowl was here, the city went through in downtown and did a lot of underground work, but unfortunately didn't really record what they did. So we got to go find a lot of it for them. So we would close down any given road. Our civil team would come in, tear up the road, start digging. And, we had a couple of swing and a misses where we just abandoned ship. We'd pave the road, open it back up, and regroup. So we had to do that, I think, on Gratiot once, and then Grand River once as well, where we couldn't do what we had to do. So we had to completely regroup. However, I will say, due to the length of time it took for us to get our caissons installed because of millions of obstructions we hit on that thing, we had all the utilities in by the time we actually pulled this building out of the ground. So, when we were talking stormwater, sanitary, city water, you name it, everything was already on site, which is a luxury, quite frankly. Same with permanent power. So it was a challenge, but we got through it.
Yeah, and we've also we've got a couple core guys from Bart Mallow, laborers and operators and carpenters that have been on the job for years with us, and they help tremendously with keeping the job flowing downtown. They know the rules. They know, because obviously Chad can't be outside every minute. I can't be out there watching, the operations go on. But we've got a really good core group of guys, as well as subcontractors that understand what they need to look out for, how they need to, operate to be efficient and, not hold up anything in the city either. So
no, I'm glad you brought that up, because he's absolutely right. We got operator foreman on the ground, a labor foreman on the ground, people mover spotter on the ground. And I don't want to minimize what Zach and all the other superintendents do, but those few individuals themselves make the job run much smoother than we could imagine. We are so very fortunate to have them, and they weren't handpicked. Billy, we found Billy by accident. He's the operator foreman, but you just can't ask for a better group of guys. And Billy and I were talking about it one day. I was just explaining to him how well it's working, and I say I could not have imagined it going better. We had some images of how we thought logistics was going to go and tower crane time, because we control basically every piece of equipment that's on the site. The tower cranes are under the CM team. The fork trucks are underneath the CM team, everything. And we did that because we didn't want so many different operators, so many different pieces of equipment, because we don't have the luxury of space. And the one thing that Billy, mentioned, which, I can appreciate, and hopefully we'll take it to the next one. He goes, I think why we are taking such ownership, because we've been here since day one. So we have literally seen this whole thing come together. And they just feel a bigger part of it than I think they typically would. So it's something that we can all learn from and take with it. Because like I say, the job would not be where it's at today without just those few key individuals.
Going back to the tower cranes and stuff like that, I know, what was it, about 6 months ago, we disassembled one, right? Like we pulled the one out of the block. And
4 months ago.
4 months ago, yeah. Can you talk about that experience and kind of what that was like?
Yeah, I can. Zach wasn't there.
Yeah, that's one thing. He was off that weekend?
I'm never going to live it down.
This was, again, don't quote me on this, but I believe it was just under a year in the making to take this thing down. It was funny because this specific crane was put basically dead center of Zach's building. And so I can't tell you how many people came to me and said, how the hell are you going to get this thing out of here? The one thing about tower crane, which, hopefully anybody that's listening that's going to put up a tower crane is listening soon. But when you decide where you're placing a tower crane, the very first thing has to be, how am I going to get this thing out of here? Because that needs to be literally on number one, because it's easy when there's nothing there, but all of a sudden you got a building in the way and utilities, whatever else. It's all things that need to be considered. So at the time, there was a crane on the west side of the state that was large enough to pick up and over the building and literally thread the needle and pull this crane out piece by piece up and over and through the building. We were about halfway through the planning process of getting the crane out and realized that company sold their crane. I'm like, oh, well, this is a bit of a problem because we budgeted around this specific crane and and whatever. And so made some calls with, just some local resources and some contacts that I have around. And luckily a much smaller firm up near Saginaw had an even bigger crane. So I called those gentlemen up and they came down and said, yeah, we can take this thing down. In fact, the crane is so big, they could actually have reached up and over the building on the other side and picked the crane up if they really had to. So
that's crazy. Like, what do they use that for?
It's incredible.
Actually, windmill maintenance is
windmill stuff. Yep. That's what I was just going to ask. Like, was that part from our sustainability team or not? Yeah.
Yep. So it's a 900 ton crane. It's a LeBaire. I think it's a 1750-2 or something like that. But yeah, it's just a very impressive machine. The issue with it is because it is so big, we had to close down a road, and the only road that we had available to us due to its size. The one thing to keep in mind as well, just about every building in Detroit, or at least downtown Detroit, has a basement underneath it, or some sort of cellar, or what else? Vault. Thank you. Yeah. That was the word I was looking for. Vault. And so we had to keep away from that because the ground pressure. You can imagine 900 ton crane, how much the thing weighs. So we had to stay away from all those vaults, basements, in our own basement. Mm-hmm. So the only road that was wide enough and could get us far enough was Woodward. Woodward, obviously the main thoroughfare through downtown. It's difficult to close. M1 rail we had to shut down, so we had to pay their wages for a weekend. But to do that, we also had to run 24 hours a day for 3 days, I think it is. We started at midnight on Friday morning, and we had that thing opened at Sunday at 9 p.m., I believe. So it went very, very well. But we were working around the clock. Had two crane operator crews, had two rigging crews that were tearing down the crane, and it was just one of those things that went flawlessly. And it needed to. I mean, weather, because if it was too windy, we couldn't do it. If it rained, we couldn't do it. I mean, there's just so many things that had to come together all at one time to make happen. And luckily, out of all the challenges that we have had on this job, that wasn't one of them.
That's awesome. So are we going to have a similar situation with the other crane that's still there or not?
Yeah, it'll be similar. It's going to be the same crane because again, the next tower crane, what we call tower crane 1, is outside the tower. But however, it's far enough back and into the basement where we still need a large crane to tear it down. So most likely it'll still be that crane, and it's going to be a little bit taller than the crane that was on Zach's building. Because to climb down, because these cranes climb themselves, and they disassemble themselves as well. It just takes time. So we're going to stop at the second tie, which is going to be about 300 feet above grade, and then take it down from there. So it's going to be quite a stick, but yeah, it'll be a very similar operation.
So you'll take it down at about halfway.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll climb down at night, and then for about 2 weeks, it's going to take us to get down that 300 feet, and then from there we'll come in another long weekend and get the rest out.
So then how will the additional 300 feet go up then?
It climbs itself. The tower crane.
Oh, the tower crane will go up. Okay.
The tower cranes climb themselves. And the same thing, so, right now, I think a month ago, we added another 100 feet. So it climbs 100 feet in the exact same process of tearing it down. So once we top out the building, get all the equipment out, the windows are done, this thing will climb himself down up to
it's crazy
300 feet, and then we'll tear the rest down conventionally.
Nice.
Yeah.
Zach, will you be there for this one?
Yes.
Are you committed?
I'm committed.
Well, this one's got
don't make promises you can't.
Hey, even if I'm not on the site, I'm going to go down there and make sure Chad's doing all right.
That's all for this episode of Said Differently. Thanks to Zach and Chad for joining us. We'll catch you back here soon for more stories from the job site. And if you haven't already done so, be sure to check out the Said Differently Beyond the Build series, where we profile various Barton Malow team members and their construction stories.
This is Said Differently, a Barton Malow podcast. For more information on the Hudson site development, visit www.hudsonsitedetroit.com or www.bartonmallow.com.
This is Said Differently, a Barton Malow podcast.